Dang. Wow, thanks for that, Nate.
I was just, I'm building the tension.
He's building the tension. He was.
And welcome back, everybody, to Hike the Y podcast. Today we have a good topic. We're going to be talking about Iowa State basketball. Finally, a good win coming from our BYU Cougars. And we might talk a little bit about UCF, so we're going to hop straight into it. But today we have a very special guest, Ruby the Rob, awesomest person that I met in the library a couple of days ago. Ruby, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, Hike the Y? My name's Ruby. I'm a diehard BYU fan, bleed blue. I'm from Draper, Utah, and I just love Cougar everything, basketball, football, anything. I'm all there for it, and I'm excited to be on the podcast today.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, we're so happy to have you here. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Ruby.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's been kind of like depressing because it used to be like four of us, and now it's like three of us.
We're bringing it back. We're bringing the energy.
And so we had three, and it took a second to. We were like losing our flow a little bit. So having a fourth again is really nice. It's really nice.
But I say we just started off. We all have a little bit of like some pretty hot takes about not last night's game. I almost said last night.
Are we jumping with hot takes, or do we just talk about Iowa State first?
Let's jump straight into like some Iowa State takes. I've got some Iowa State takes from Iowa State. Watching the game, AJ Dybantsa can keep carrying the team on his back. I think there's like this whole season I've been having like this like kind of dread. I'm like, okay, one of these games AJ's just not going to show up and we're going to be terrible. And he's had a couple of games where he's imperfect. But I think AJ Dybantsa is able to carry this BYU team into a national championship. I think we can keep going. AJ Dybantsa is dropping 20 points. He's dropping 40 minutes in the game. He's leading the team in assists, rebounds. So my first take is AJ Dybantsa can carry this team. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And like just looking at the Iowa State game especially, me watching it, I think Iowa State's main goal was take away Rob Wright and take away AJ Dybantsa. And they tried to do that by really just condensing the middle of the floor. You could see like Rob Wright's go-to is like to just kind of dribble, like jab, step, blah, 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 get past your defender into the lane, like tough lay, stuff like that. And Iowa State just had guys like waiting in the paint for that. And Rob Wright could not get to his spot. And that's AJ Dybantsa's spot too. If you like watch the away games, like I love to watch all the BYU games. But the announcers are always like, oh, that Big 12 logo in the paint, that's AJ Dybantsa's spot. And it is. Yeah. And I'm like, but AJ Dybantsa didn't really score from there at all. Like he got all his points from all like different locations of the field. I loved how. Okay, the court. I mean, I love how he was able to.
We're clipping that. we're clipping that. I'm putting that on the social media.
He was able to get really anywhere he wanted to. He was able to drive baseline, pull up from 16, just fade away really nicely. He made all his shots. And then he was a great distributor too. He was one assist away from a triple-double. So, might have been AJ's best game as a BYU Coug, and Iowa State was focusing on him defensively. Mm-hmm. So, he's going to have to step up now that Richie's out, but I think he can carry. Yeah, I love that take.
Yeah, I think he can carry. How far he can carry, I'm not sure because I was looking back some of the games that that he played, but BYU still lost, such as on the road at Oklahoma State, where AJ still had a great individual stat line. Against Houston, AJ still had a great stat line. He was limited most at Kansas, but against Arizona, even on 6 and 24 shooting, he still ended up with 24 points. I think it's going to take more for them to get as far as Nate said. There's going to need more than just him on the floor doing, like they're going to need this bench to step up, especially to get even a deeper tournament run. But he is by himself, definitely willed. He just willed it to happen. He just wanted it, and he just played his game even with Iowa State's game plan. And I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I totally agree. I think AJ had an incredible game on Saturday. We all can agree with that. But I think long-term for BYU basketball, being a Big 12 contender, we can't just rely on AJ because this is likely his only season. And so I think it's important that we're building up these smaller, like less popular players and distributing the ball to them like what they were talking about earlier. and giving them opportunities to shine and develop as players, and also as in confidence. Me and Nate were talking about this yesterday, but I think a huge issue we have in BYU basketball is this lack of confidence and feeling like we're just lucky that we're there, where the Cougars are contenders in the Big 12. They're talked about, or they deserve to be talked about, I think. But a lot of the time, I think we just feel like we're lucky to be here, lucky to be invited. And I think building that confidence on the Big 12 stage is going to be really important going in, not only to the remainder of this season, but the future.
Yeah, and Ruby mentioned yesterday that Richie Saunders was one of those players who brought that to the court. And now that we have Richie Saunders gone, we're going to need a couple of other players to be stepping up, bringing that confidence. And one thing that I absolutely loved from the Iowa State game was that the bench and everyone on the team was getting involved and everyone was getting electric. There's a breakaway. I don't think it was necessarily a steal, but there's a point where AJ, Kennard, and Boop just broke away down the court. AJ got the ball to Kennard, and then Kennard just slammed it home.
They almost, the bench stormed the court, bro.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Timeout Iowa State. They all come outside. They start shoving each other around. And I'm like, this is what we need. At that point, BYU was only up 5. That dunk put us up 5, and we were down 3 right before that. But I'm like, that kind of energy coming from Kennard Davis, coming from Boop, coming from Boscovich, coming off the bench and shoving a bunch of people, and just seeing all these basketball players get involved in the game. It was super awesome to see. And that just that point in the game, I was like, okay, we just beat Iowa State. There's no way that they come back from this because we've got the Rock rocking, we've got the stadium bumping, we've got. You
got to think of another good word.
I'm running out of synonyms, guys. But everyone was it was just electric there. So definitely we're gonna need that going forward.
Definitely go watch that clip. My favorite part of that clip, you saw AJ gives it up to Davis, and Davis dunks it home. If you watch it again, Hadim Boop is sprinting down the floor like he's taking the angle for the lob, and then he turns around waiting for it, and Kennard gets the dunk, and you could tell Boop wanted
it, bro. He wanted to be the one to bring the house down.
Yeah, BYU got the energy boost anyway, and that was huge. And going back to the point, with the confidence and all that stuff, Rob Wright and AJ Dybantsa both played 40 minutes against Iowa State. Mm-hmm. And that's great. You got to have your best guys on the court, but that's not sustainable. They can't be playing every minute, every game. Eventually, someone's going to be tired. Someone's going to be injured if you keep doing that. But yeah, BYU's bench is going to need some confidence. And I've loved what I've seen, especially from Kennard Davis and Mihailo Boscovich. Just a couple of times, they just took the ball to the rack, and that's what you need to see. That's the kind of confidence in yourself that BYU really needs. So yeah, I have hope for this BYU basketball team. I'm excited.
Yeah, just talking about Kennard Davis, I think Kennard Davis and Boop, those are the two players that are going to step up in Richie's shoes. And this is another one of my takes. I think Boop and Kennard Davis Jr. are, now that Richie's kind of out of the picture and he's injured and he's on the sideline, there's now room for the big 4, the big 5. Previous in the season,
starting 5.
Your starting 5, yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Well, it's you're having your big 3. You had not Davis. You had AJ Dybantsa. You had all those the big 3. But now that Richie's gone and the big 3 is no more, these other players like Boscovich, like Boop, like Kennard Davis Jr., they're popping off. If you look at Boop's stat line, he had 10 rebounds. And he's only had 2 games this season where he's had 10 rebounds, both of them coming after the injury from Richie Saunders. Davis had 17 points. That is some of the most, I guess he had a couple of other higher scoring games earlier on this season.
Yeah.
But he scored 17 points. He scored 10 points. And he's stepping up after Richie's been sidelined.
I just wanted to add one thing about the injury report in general across BYU basketball right now. I was just, this morning I was looking at the UCF versus BYU injury report, and we have so many guys out. And I think in terms of the longevity and their ability to make a run to the Final Four, I'd be worried just in terms of the fact that we have our 2 biggest players playing 40 minutes. That is risking injury, risking burnout. And there's no way we can make a big run, a Final Four run, even if Robert III is out.
Yeah, we could legitimately have like a decent starting five with just players who are out right now.
Oh yeah.
So that's really, really disappointing
Now
for
that's
BYU.
a hot take.
I mean, I guess I could name
could
them.
defend
Like,
it.
Back it up.
all right. I guess I don't really know who we go with at the big man. I guess Xavier
Xavier
Staten. Not
I would
not
not
the
have
best
Staten
guy. You'd have Dawson at shooting guard,
Dawson Baker's
Nate
obviously-
Pickens
Nate
at
Pickens and
point,
Richie. Oof.
Brady Kalowski at small forward, and then I'd say who'd we go with at power forward? I know.
That's Allen. I don't actually know if we have
Let me
like
look at the injury report.
who's the closest to a power forward. Oh, here we got Ruby got it up for you.
Let's go. I guess it'd have to be.
Oh, the people that
Richie.
are out.
I totally missed Richie.
You missed Richie. I
we
said
just
it,
throw
but-
Richie in there, and I guess we'd have Kalowski at power forward.
Kozlowski.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dang, I just
There you
got
go.
humbled on the pipe. Wow. Yeah, Brady Kozlowski.
Shout out to Rob.
Anyway, yeah, that's like a decent. I mean, it's not great, but you got Dawson Baker, Nate Pickens, Richie Saunders, all guys who have proved themselves
That's a pretty decent team.
in college basketball. And then you got maybe not the best front court, but hey, like you could win some games. Maybe you can beat Holy Cross, something like that.
Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Richie
Hey,
could carry the team on his back.
Wins are wins. Nice.
All right.
Who's up next?
I
on the
also
hot
just
take? Was that one, I guess?
something real quick to point out. It's BYU's first Big 12 ranked win. So, like, just get some good juju in there. And then we've got one more opportunity against Texas Tech. Maybe, hopefully, we can just end out the season strong.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and I think Texas Tech is definitely going to be one of those games. We can talk about it in next week, but it's definitely probably going to, it's definitely going to be a win. Just the fact that Toppin is out with a season-ending injury, I just don't think Texas Tech has the roster to beat BYU. Even if we have Richie Saunders out, even if we have like AJ Dybantsa playing 40 minutes, I just hope that these last couple games don't injure AJ and don't injure Rob Wright. That's the worst thing that could happen to our team going into March, because these two basketball players are phenomenal. But I'd hate to see something like what happened to Richie Saunders and Toppin happen to them, because especially AJ going to the NBA next year, it would be quite unfortunate. So
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I do. Are we about to move on? Because I do want to talk a little bit more about the Iowa State game.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
one hot take for
Okay,
Iowa
go
State,
ahead.
but I feel like I've been talking a lot.
I've got
have-
one.
do you have
what does
something?
Ruby got? What's your hot take?
Mine is just a general hot take.
Or just
Just
Yeah.
general.
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess I can.
We could save that till after.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take. BYU, Iowa State is a great team. Obviously, they were ranked number 6. It's only 4 losses on the season. Only have lost to also other really good teams. But I think Iowa State was like the perfect team for BYU to beat. I don't actually think like they were the 6th hardest team for BYU to face. So I don't know how much like we should really be putting into this win. Obviously, BYU has like a 3-game winning streak against Iowa State now. And I guess that doesn't really mean anything for this year. But I really go to Blake Buchanan at their center position. He's not really a great offensive player. He's not a huge, big body. And BYU's really struggled against guys who can get down low against them. And then Iowa State also just didn't shoot well from 3. And that's kind of one of their big things. And so I don't know how much we should really be putting into this win. Maybe it's not as great as it seems. What do you guys think?
I think I could answer that with one of my hot takes. I was going to say,
Ooh.
on a lapsed fan where I missed 2 years for my mission, of course, I was looking back through the years, and I was going to say this is BYU's most important home win since they beat Gonzaga in 2020. I was gonna
Most
say,
important home win?
That's an
win.
insane take.
What about
I'm trying to look up
Since
think
in
about who they've
2020.
beat. Think about who they've beat at home. The other one I could find that looked almost as impressive was when they beat a top 15 Baylor, but at home, not a neutral site or anything. They've had a lot of
the
road
Gonzaga
wins.
win
we
5
beat
years ago?
Kansas.
Was
Gonzaga
insane.
win against 6 years ago now. Yoli Childs, that was very important. The atmosphere was the same, the storyline, whatever, all was the same. But BYU controlled the game the whole way and wins. I think I'm willing. I'm not trying to be like this is the only right answer, but to me, that's the game. I don't know what other game between that one and this one would have meant more to a BYU basketball season than Iowa State. Beating Iowa State.
I want to like look through something. I don't have one like in my head, but Ruby, did you have something?
I'm gonna like agree with both of y'all. I think technically, I did not see beautiful basketball on Saturday. I did not see technically impressive basketball from either teams. Honestly, I think there's a lot of dumb mistakes that BYU made, and so I agree that we probably shouldn't be putting a ton of stakes in our technical ability based on our win against Iowa State. Just considering the fact that I think there were a lot of passes that were going to no one. There were a lot of shots that should not have been missed. A lot of sloppy mistakes. And this is coming from someone who's not even a really technical basketball fan. But I do think from a confidence, from a synergy perspective, I do think it was one of the most important home wins that I can recount from BYU basketball history. Just in terms of building confidence, I feel like the storyline coming into this game was, will they be able to do it without Richie? I think it was huge for these smaller players that we talked about earlier to be able to prove that they can step up in the absence of Richie Saunders. However, I do not think this was our best game technically. I don't think we showcased our ability. I think there were a lot of silly mistakes made, especially by Kebakeda. I think this was probably one of the worst games I've seen him play since returning from my mission.
Kebakeda?
Gotcha.
This game?
Yeah, that's also a hot
That's
take.
another hot take by
What?
itself.
I feel like this was Kebakeda's best game in a while. I don't know.
I do want to say, I want to go off of what Ruby says. What Ruby said was definitely valid. This game was a must-win for BYU to have like that kind of momentum, especially coming from like the fan base. If you talk to people on campus and like, what are your thoughts about BYU basketball? I think after beating Iowa State, they're like so much better. We were able to finally beat a ranked opponent, and they're just feeling better.
Yeah, you talk about confidence of the players. How about confidence of the fan base?
Yeah, confidence,
Way higher.
players, fan base, all high. But you look at some of these stats, and I'm like, Kebakeda had a couple of passes
not pretty.
that
It's not
went
pretty
out of
at
bounds.
all.
We shot 7 for 25 from 3, which is only 28%. And we could not get up on Lipsy, who was having wide open looks at the basket. We shot terribly in the second half. I wish I could see the stats. I tried looking on ESPN. I wasn't able to find it. The first half, we shot from 3. It was automatic. I would say we were probably in the upper like 80 percentile or 80 percentage. But just going into the second half, we had wide open looks. AJ was making and creating space, passing the ball out to Kennard Davis, Boscovich, even Rob Wright, and they were just missing wide open looks at the basket. And so definitely BYU was not. I was not super stoked about how BYU basketball was playing. I was glad that we were beating them, and I was glad that we beat them by 10. But play wise, I wouldn't say that it was like the best game that we've had since Gonzaga. Because when we played BYU versus Gonzaga, that was just excellent basketball. That was an excellent win, and that's just one of those games in this later century that we're just gonna always remember. Iowa State and BYU, I feel like this is another one where it's like, this is a turning point in the season. We really needed this win, but the gameplay was not the best. We did pretty bad, but Iowa State did worse.
Yeah, I agree. I've just been looking through recent seasons, and I couldn't really find a huge home win. The one that I would say BYU in their second game of the season, 2023 to 2024 season, beat San Diego State. They were coming off a national championship loss. And I can specifically remember that game. I was sledding with my siblings on a hill near our house.
Oh, wow.
And I was listening to the game. And so I enjoyed it. BYU won, obviously. But I might have to agree with your take, Connor. I don't know if there's been a bigger game just that we needed to win. Just proving ourselves without Richie, kind of everything else you said. So, yeah, fire take. I agree.
Excellent. I'm trying to think.
Is that all the
I think
all the takes?
that's everything I have to say about Iowa State. Do we have anything else, Ruby?
Not about Iowa State on my part.
I think I'm all good there.
I think we're all good.
Yeah, I'd just say defensive intensity. You could feel it. It was palpable. So we got to keep that up if we want to keep winning. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think let's just touch really briefly about the UCF game tonight. I'm not going to be able to edit this before the game, so this is going to be...
Come on.
Hey, guys, I got Group 1 for the tickets, so I'm hoping to be front row, so I'm not going to be able to edit
You
this.
can't like
before
edit it at the game or something.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I can't. Sorry.
You're really taking it out.
I'm not that real. But what are some of the predictions? I'm looking at the line. Yesterday it was BYU by 10 points. Do you think that, because do you know what's really funny actually about the Iowa State game? Connor called me and was like, dude, what are your final thoughts on the game? Or not the final thoughts, like right before the game, he's like, okay, what do you think the final score is going to be?
Yeah.
And I was like 70-72. And that proved right. I told my brother that we are going to win by 5+ points, and it'd be like 70-75. I changed it. But I felt pretty good about the final score being like around 70. So what are we thinking? Oh, the spread's now 12.5. So BYU by 12.5 tonight. Are we taking the over or the under?
This is why I don't sports bet, by the way.
I definitely
Number
would have
one.
bet on this game. UCF's a really interesting team. They beat Kansas, but then they've also like lost to West Virginia. They almost lost to Utah. But they also don't have, like, I think the biggest telltale for BYU basketball is look at the other team's big. And if they have a dominant big, I don't like our chances. They don't have a dominant big. So I'll take BYU in this one, coming off
By how
a
much?
big win.
Less than 12 points or more than 12 points?
I think BYU plays down to their opponent. So we'll keep it close.
So less than 12?
Yeah.
Less than 12. I'd also say less than 12, to be honest. I mean, this is a very, like, I don't know how to describe it. I love watching teams like UCF play because you never know what kind of night you're going to get. You might get a win against Kansas. You might get a 20-point loss to Houston. You really have no idea. They lost to West Virginia at home as well. So, like, they're not, like, an excellent team, but, like, they can put together excellent games. Coming off, hard win, but they've already adjusted to the Utah. They've been here since Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I think, time's not going to be as much of an advantage as I would have hoped it would be. But I think BYU still is a better team, can carry a little bit of the fire and not have a dud of a game after beating Iowa State on Saturday.
I'm taking the over. I think we're going to beat them by
Dang.
15 points.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, 15 points.
Wow.
Why? What's going to be different?
I just think there's people who listen to this podcast will be like, she only talks about confidence and synergy. But it's just all I really can see with our Cougs that's been different. I'm coming off of, I guess you called it a lapse fan. I just returned from a mission, so I haven't seen 2 seasons. And I think there's just something different about our Cougars now. I think this getting a really big recruit this season with AJ Dybantsa has been awesome. And I think with that, there's just a lot of excitement behind BYU basketball. And with that, I have all faith that coming off this big win, that they'll be able to pull something awesome together.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
ESPN favors us 86.8% to 13.2%. So hopefully tonight we get the dub. So I think going on to the
It'd be big because
go ahead.
we got West Virginia, then Cincinnati, and I think Cincinnati's a sleeper.
You got to watch out for
team.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's another one of those
So
sleepers where you
we
never
could
know.
really use some momentum.
I can see Cincinnati making some crazy upsets in March Madness. I just want that to be out
UCF
there.
also beat Texas Tech with Toppin, by the way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll-
We'll see what
we'll
kind of game
see-
we
we'll
get
see who
tonight.
shows up.
9
UCF.
p.m. Mountain Time.
And do you know what the best part is? I don't know if you guys saw this. BYU announced that they're going to do blackout.
Yes, sir.
And Utah's also playing. And
They
they
announced-
announced 12 hours after we did that they're doing blackout.
Copycat.
So
Copycat.
copycats.
Iowa
Gonna
State's
hate
about,
us.
Iowa State's about to take it to Utah tonight. Iowa
yeah.
State stayed in Utah. UCF and Iowa State switched opponents from Saturday to tonight. I think Iowa State destroys you.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Utah hates us because they ain't us. And I would like to see the 12 people in the must pull up to that game.
Shout out to Nate's mom who listens to this podcast.
Shout out to my
Despite
parents.
being a Utah fan.
Shout out to my
You
mom.
have to
and-
listen to your son say all this stuff.
It's my mom and dad who are Utah fans who listen
both
to the
of-
podcast.
shout out
so
Nate's
shout out
parents.
to both
Yeah.
of them for listening to that podcast or listening to the podcast. So
All right. Are we moving on to,
Let's go to the-
our hot, spicy takes?
hot spicy takes.
Whoosh.
I think
Ruby,
we should.
I know
we
you've
should start
got
with
you've got
Ruby's.
one.
Let's go, Ruby.
Okay. My hot take is that following Richie's injury, my starting 5, instead of putting Boscovich in there, I would put Boop. So my starting 5 would be Dybantsa, Kepaketa, Davis Jr., Robert Wright III, and Boop.
Team Boop.
I
So
love
just
it.
replacing Boop with Mihailo.
Replacing Boscovich with Boop, yeah.
Racing Boscovich with Boop. I just think the energy, again, it's all about energy. It's all about the vibe. I think the energy that Boop brings to the court is just super unique. It's something I can't say comparable to Saunders, but I would say it has a similar effect. I think we saw that in the Iowa State game. I think the whole energy of the team changed when he got on the court. So that's my opinion. I've admitted on the podcast like 3 times, I'm not the most technical basketball fan. I can't state stat lines, but I can say when I watch basketball, I like watching Boop more. I think he does more for the team, both stats-wise and energy-wise, in terms of unity and camaraderie, which is something we're really missing with Saunders not on the court anymore.
Yeah, I've got conflicting opinions about that take. I love the energy that Boop brings. I feel like every time I see him make a crazy play, he just yells at the fans. He's like hyping everyone up, including himself.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome. But I feel like we need Mihailo Boskovic Mihailo Boskovic's. Am I saying that right?
There you go. Yeah.
I feel like we need his floor spacing because, I think he went 2 for 9 from the 3-point line against Iowa State, and that's not great. But he's such a confident shooter, and he can really knock it down from anywhere beyond the arc. Well, not anywhere, but anywhere around the arc. I honestly do feel confident with him taking the 3. And I feel like with just Davis out there for a catch and shoot kind of guy, I know Boop's hit some 3s. I do not want to see him take that many unless he's wide open. But yeah, I'm conflicted. I don't know. I want to see Boop play a lot of minutes. He fouls a lot as well, though. So I don't know.
I have a counter argument. I
Let's hear it.
like Boop out there because Boskovic doesn't get rebounds. Now, one thing that I love about Boop is he is a rebound fiend. He just goes after the ball. You'll see him jump. Bro will jump like 14 feet in the air to come down with the most crazy rebound. One thing that we struggle with the most that Keba Keita can't get done is grab a board. And the people who are grabbing boards right now are AJ Dybantsa and Boop. They tied for 10 rebounds against Iowa State this last Saturday. And so I like Boop on the defensive end, just being able to clamp it down rather than Boskovic. I think offensively we have Kennard, we have AJ, and we have Rob Wright III, and they're able to score and get that stuff done. I think Boop is there because he can also get like a bunch of offensive rebounds. But those 3 offensively, I feel very confident that they can beat teams by themselves. I think Boop gets it done defensively, and that's someone that we need. You watch Boop, he will lock onto the best player, and he will just stay with that person. You'll see him, and he's like up in their face like this, and he just moves around the whole court. He doesn't even care about anyone else, but he gets told the orders, and he's up there, and he's up in your face, both hands up. He's whacking people. He's making some pretty dumb mistakes, low-key sometimes, but he gets the board. He gets the ball out. He gets BYU possessions.
Yeah, I love that. I do think Mihailo Boskovic, he can guard all 5 positions, and you often see him guarding a guard. And he's usually maybe out on the perimeter guarding someone. That's why he doesn't get as many rebounds. He could definitely be a better rebounder. And obviously, Boop is better than him at rebounding. And I sort of forgot my other point. But,
happens.
Mihailo Boskovic is also, I feel like, an underrated defender. Like I said, he can guard all 5 positions. Maybe not a huge big man down low. Maybe I'd love to see some looks with Boop and Boskovic instead of Keita or Ahmed. Maybe if Kevin Young wants to throw that out there. You still got guys who can defend. You got the energy. I feel like Boop honestly gets boards better than Keita. So
Yes.
yeah,
I would agree.
that'd be
with that.
fun to see.
I'd like it. I wonder, especially like tonight, like Brandon mentioned that UCF does not have like a dominant big, which has been one of BYU's weak points. I think you could try that. You could try a small ball, and you could try taking Keita out and putting Boop in to have him be kind of in that center position, maybe for a couple minutes and see. I think both are valuable on the court. I do think, it's especially the stat doesn't lie that Boskovic played 28 minutes to Boop 17. So there's like definitely Kevin Young showing who he's gonna go with in these situations. But I think that Boop's defensive performance is more replicable than Boskovic shooting that well. I think Boop can do that again, and Boskovic to repeat that performance I think would be a little bit harder to see. I don't
I
know.
mean,
if
he
that
did
makes any
shoot 2
sense.
for 9 from 3.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that'd be that hard.
13.
To
I mean,
repeat. I know, but he did better.
5 of 11 from the field though. Like shooting almost 50%. I don't feel like he had a bunch of games like that going into this one when he had that many shots and was entrusted to them and made that many, even 5. But so I think Boop on the defensive end could be more reliable than Boskowicz on the offensive end. But like Brandon, I am also kind of torn on this one. That's a good take.
It's just interesting because Boskowicz got a lot of minutes last year, and he started to kind of fade out of the rotation this year. But then with Richie getting hurt, he's just been thrust back in. So I think he's a really good kind of segue from without Richie Saunders to someone else who also has experience, who's played a lot overseas. But yeah, I'd love to see me some more Boop as well.
I don't know how I feel about that sentence.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just sounded weird. Like, I love Boop, but that's
Sounds
such a
normal.
weird sentence. I was like, I'd like to see myself some more Boop. I was like, what?
Well,
I didn't
I'm
think anything
sorry.
of it. I didn't think anything of it. Low key.
Why'd you have to make it weird?
I don't know. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Also, I follow the Boop Lover Instagram account.
You
Go
did
follow it.
mention
It's
that last
hilarious.
time.
Also, the AJ Dybantsa Lover account and Kennard Davis. So
Do you still follow the Drake May?
I still follow the
Lover
Drake May
account?
Lover account. Those,
Any other Lover accounts we need to know about?
and Michael May Lover
I
account.
love her.
Just go follow some of those on Instagram. It's hilarious. Boop. Boop is turning into a meme in The Rock. You'll definitely, like, every time Boop touches the ball, it was like,
Boop. It sounds like they're booing him. It sounds like
yeah.
It's
they're
kind of like
not.
the Foos strain.
Foos. It's kind of like Foos. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, what? You're booing? No, they're not. It's Boop. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, next take.
Right. Who has
I
one?
think we've only got time for like 2 more takes. So,
I've got an interesting take we could talk a little bit about. I should probably pull it up. So, obviously, Abdullah Ahmed did not play very much minutes, and I'm pulling up the box score to see exactly how many. Are you sad about that?
7.
He played 7 minutes. My argument or my hot take is that he's still going to be a huge part of this BYU basketball team. I feel like maybe he didn't play as much because Iowa State didn't have a dominant center, and I honestly have not loved the way that he's played this season. But I feel like if BYU wants to win, they're going to need to get their biggest guy on the team, which is Ahmed, and he's going to have to just play strong defensively.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that. It's an interesting take. I mean, Ahmed, I really like his style of play. I think it's really been hard for him trying to figure out how to play college basketball and how to defend without fouling or without being too soft. And I feel like he's gone like either he's too soft defensively or he just racks up fouls really quickly, a quick 3 fouls. So I think he definitely is developing, and he's going to be really important in this team, especially with Keita graduating this year. It's definitely on him. He's got 2 more years after this at BYU. I think it's important.
Yeah,
that
we'll see if he stays.
Yeah.
I don't think he will, and I don't really want him to.
dang.
Okay. So you just like defend
sorry,
Boop,
Ahmed,
and then you're
I'm
like
sorry.
you just defend Beto, and then you're just like, nah, you know what? I don't want him.
No, I think he's going to be a part of the team, but
Until the end of the season.
everything I've seen says he cannot score. And I don't.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I love big men who can get to the
We
ball.
watch him pregame in The Rock. We watch him like he does all these drills, and he looks amazing.
Dude, I saw him do an up and under, like,
He did like
a
a
360,
Yeah.
crazy, like, layup. And I
I'm
was
like, where is this in the game? Like when you get the ball in the game, he kind of like forgets how to use it. But like in the warm ups, like against like with on pressure, like a contested shots, he's making those.
It's confidence. That's what I'm saying.
It's confidence and synergy.
Me and Ruby.
It's confidence and synergy. Yep.
I would like to announce that I'm trying out for the center position for BYU this upcoming.
Maybe we need to keep Ahmed.
Because I think I could get more than 4
Another-
points. So
Ruby taking names on the pod today.
I'm just gonna say I didn't miss Ahmed on Saturday. I wasn't thinking, darn it, I hope they put him in soon. So, yeah, that's all I have really to say about it. He's not my favorite player to watch. I'm not gonna sit here and try to defend him. I think
Yeah, he's so average
It's
in
either-
every possible way except for below average in some other parts of his game.
Okay.
and we're gonna shut down the Ahmed hate now.
yeah,
Maybe don't
shut down
post
that-
all the Ahmed hate.
He's a great blocker. He is a great blocker.
Yeah. Well, at least he doesn't goaltend.
All right.
Anyways, okay,
Let's
next
get
take.
off his case.
And more takes. Hurry. We're
If
running
no
out of
one
time,
else has
guys.
a take, I can give one more. But
I got one more.
You got a
Unless
take?
you don't have-
I'm
Any more?
done.
Okay. I think BYU we talked a little bit about depth. I'm going to be bearish on BYU, and that BYU cannot advance past the Sweet 16 this season.
Ooh.
Based on depth alone, and based on where they'd end up in the bracket.
Well, you think let's like just say who's coming off the bench? We'd have Boop, Ahmed.
Are you assuming Boscovich is in the starting five if you're saying Boop's coming off the bench?
Yeah. Well, he has been in the starting five, so
Okay.
yeah. Just based on to this last starting five: Boop, Ahmed, Kostic, maybe Maras. There's no one else coming off the bench, and I don't think any of those guys are probably playing more than 15 minutes, except for Boop. So, yeah, I agree with the depth part. I think if BYU can hit threes, I think they can go pretty far. Obviously, they're going to eventually face a team who's really good. But like I'm just looking. I look at all the games BYU's played this season, and BYU doesn't have any horrible losses. Like the Houston loss is probably their worst one, and Houston's one of the top teams in the nation. I feel like BYU's stuck with almost every great team, and AJ Dybantsa can take over games. So I don't think they have necessarily a ceiling. I think like there's a chance they could still get to the Final Four, but like there's also a chance they lose in the first round.
Yeah.
So yeah, this isn't a team I'm necessarily confident about.
I just looked up the bracketology for 2026, the study of brackets, in case you were wondering. BYU would be they'd be a number 6 seed playing number 11 Santa Clara. And then the winner of that game would play number 3 Kansas.
Or Austin Peay.
Mm-hmm. And since we've already lost to Kansas, I definitely think we could beat Kansas. So I would say I could see BYU making a run.
I'd say, yeah, I think we can make it to the Sweet 16. Past the Sweet 16 is where I start to
that's where I start to doubt.
dwindle in my confidence.
And as a person who wants to make the $1 billion in prize money for the perfect bracket, I don't know if I could have BYU going past
It's
the
my
Sweet
year
16.
this year. Sorry, Nate.
No, it's mine. Let's just make the same bracket.
Let's talk about this in March.
So,
Awesome.
valid take.
I agree with the comment about depth. I'm just going to jump in there. I think we don't have enough people on the bench to be able to make a serious run past Sweet 16. I think if this is a really hot take, I think if AJ's in his right mind, I honestly think he needs to start playing a little less minutes because he's put himself in a really dangerous position for the draft. He's demonstrated he's a powerful player. He's demonstrated that he's a huge asset for BYU, but it's putting him in a
Please don't do it, AJ.
I know.
Please.
I don't think he will because I think he's been such a huge. I think BYU has loved him, but I think after even just watching Saturday's game, there were some blatant fouls, and in terms of like just risking his longevity, in terms of like this isn't his last season. Like this, like he is going to go to the NBA. He will be a huge contender in the league. I think it's concerning. He's playing 40 minutes against these teams that are tailoring their defense specifically to take, not to take him out, but to limit his ability, which could put him in jeopardy for injury. And without a deep bench, I think it's a risky position to be in. And I don't think we have the longevity to make a run to the Final Four or past the Sweet 16.
I like that take. Like logically, like on paper, it's like AJ Dybantsa, stay on the bench. And I want that for him.
But he won't do it.
But he won't. I can see him.
Realistically, yeah. Logically, yes. Realistically.
Things that over the last game, he said, if it takes us 40 minutes to win, if it takes 40 minutes for me to play to win, I'll play 40 minutes. And that is so cool, just talking on his character. Think about Darren Peterson, who gets 17 points and tries to sub himself out
Checks
of
out
the
of the
game.
game.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like the soft basketball players who are going to be going. Like, I'm calling Darren Peterson soft.
Well, I mean, Darren Peterson's also been injured for a lot of this season.
But
so.
but he just checks himself out of games, and it's like when you look at
He
AJ
probably
Dybantsa,
also has like a minutes count.
AJ Dybantsa is playing 40 minutes, and he's playing to win. And he said multiple times this season that he's going for a national championship. That's like part of his goals, and I think that there's nothing that we can do to stop AJ Dybantsa from achieving his goals. And I don't think that there's a single thing that another team can do. And we could see that against Iowa State. They tried to lock down Rob Wright.
I don't know about that take. But
Hold on. They tried to shut down AJ Dybantsa. Rob Wright got shut down with only 6 points, and he was able to come back. I have faith in AJ Dybantsa. Please, AJ, take us to the national championship. Take us. I want gold.
This
I
is
want
the
to
Olympics.
celebrate.
I think it's so ironic. BYU had 11 and 11-man rotation last year. They were maybe the deepest team in college basketball, and now
We have a
injuries.
seven-man rotation.
What could have been? What could have
7 or
been?
8, man.
Well, dude, this is a W podcast today.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was.
I'm super excited. We're glad that Ruby, the Rob genius, was able to come on the podcast and talk some takes. Maybe we'll convince her to come again. We had to pay her like $10,000 to come.
That's not
on
true.
the podcast.
I'm here for my pure love of BYU. Thanks
She's here for the love of
having
the
me.
game, bro. The love of the game.
I'm just kidding. But guys, go cheer on the Cougars against UCF later tonight. And I think we have another game.
Actually,
on
it'll be yesterday or however many
Oh, yeah.
days. Because
Yesterday or
Nate's
2 days
not
ago.
editing the podcast
Or 3 days
tonight.
ago.
You guys are just haters, okay? you guys,
Realistic haters.
you guys.
We're
can
just
edit.
realistic. Yeah.
You edit the podcast then. And then on the 28th, so this Saturday, I believe, we're going to be playing
West
Virginia.
Mountain Mama.
3:30 p.m. Okay.
You guys all sing the song and no one else is going to keep it going? Come on.
I was letting
No.
it going.
So, love you guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We're going to end with our Georgia Bark, as usual. Go Dogs.
Go Cougs.
Go, 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 go.